Good day, I'm Lisa Rowe and this is your JIS News for Wednesday, July 31, 2024. The government, through the Office of Disaster Preparedness and Emergency Management, ODPEM, has received essential hurricane relief supplies from the United States Agency for International Development, USAID. The donation, valued at over $360,000, were handed over on Tuesday. It's part of a larger $2.5 million support that was pledged by the U.S. government shortly after the onslaught of Hurricane Beryl earlier this month. Among the items are 10,000 tarpaulins, 5,000 shelter-fixing kits, and financial contribution to the Jamaica Red Cross to support communities most affected. Prime Minister Andrew Holness says the bond between both countries is very strong and the relationship will be nurtured for future generations. He also assures that there is a strong accountability system in place to manage the relief supplies.
There is always a sense that whatever is given may not be properly used. And I want to reassure all who are giving, not just the United States, but all countries and all private donors, that the government takes accountability very seriously. The ODPEM knows that that is the policy direction. Whatever is given must be accounted for to the donor, to the government of Jamaica, and to the beneficiary, the recipient.
U.S. Ambassador to Jamaica, Nick Perry, says the gesture underscores his country's unwavering support and commitment to stand with Jamaica in times of need.
The supplies being handed over today will play an important role in meeting the immediate needs of as many of those affected as we can by providing much-needed assistance and aid. The United States government stands in solidarity with Jamaica, not just in times of disaster, but as enduring friends and partners in resilience and recovery.
300 residents of the Clifton community in Bernard Lodge, St. Catherine, are now the proud owners of certificates of title to property in the area. Prime Minister Andrew Holness handed over the documents during a ceremony held on Tuesday at the Clifton Community Center. The titles were provided under the Community Regularization and Development Program being implemented by SCJ Holdings. The process aims to formalize occupation of informal communities around the various sugar estates across the island. In congratulating the new property owners, Prime Minister Andrew Holness says the government is committed to empowering Jamaicans through orderly, formal and fair land ownership.
The government of Jamaica must create a system whereby every Jamaican has an equal and orderly opportunity to own a piece of Jamaica and create an endowment for future generations. The title is more than just your certificate of ownership. The title says that I have the ability to use this property to acquire and advance myself economically.
Mr. Holness assured the residents that a process had begun to provide improved infrastructure for the area.
In my last budget presentation, I announced that we will be allocating $15 billion to deal with the regularization of certain inner city communities that have been informally settled. We wouldn't be able to spend $15 billion in 1 year, so it's a 5-year program. And Clifton will be one of those communities that will benefit from that allocation.
The Falmouth Hospital in Trelawney now has 4 equipped and functioning theatres to deliver high-quality healthcare services to the public. This follows the reopening of one of the operating theatres on Friday after extensive renovation done at a cost of $45 million. It is one of 2 facilities at the hospital that have undergone infrastructure upgrades, totaling approximately $100 million.
4 were already here, but 2 were non-operational. And I'm happy to say that I just toured the 2 ones that were the original ones, which have been refurbished. Work is still taking place, but they are usable. and it represents an added capacity to the institution, which I'm very proud of and happy for, and thank the team for.
The health minister says investment in the hospital over the past 5 years has moved the bed capacity to 170. A major overhaul of the hospital's walkway system was recently completed at a cost of $49 million. Dr. Tufton has directed the hospital's administration to address other areas. These include the maintenance of green spaces and repair of damaged windows in the accident and emergency department. He says the entrance should also be upgraded to make it more welcoming and inviting. Still on health, the Mapen Hospital in Clarendon successfully performed its first laparoscopic colon cancer surgery recently. The procedure, which is also known as colectomy, signaled a new wave of cutting-edge surgeries at the hospital. Consultant General Surgeon at the hospital, Dr. Orain Thomas, explains that laparoscopic technology has also been used for surgeries in hernias and appendectomies. He says other hospitals in the Southeastern Regional Health Authority, SERA, are equipped with new technologies, including robotic surgery. The laparoscopic procedure offers a number of advantages when compared to regular or conventional surgery for colon cancer. These include less pain after surgery, a smaller incision, better cosmetic outcomes, and patients are back to their regular activity in a shorter time. Members of the Senate on Friday gave the nod of approval to an amendment to the Representation of the People Act 2024. This addresses the period within which a by-election is to be held to fill a vacancy within an electoral division of a municipal corporation. The provision allows for a deferral of up to 90 days under clear and specific listed circumstances. The date is to be determined by the minister responsible for electoral matters. Government Senator Dr. Dana Morris Dixon piloted the legislation in the Senate. She says the amendment is not merely a procedural change, but a step towards ensuring the country's electoral processes remain fair, transparent, and effective, even in the face of unforeseen events.
The bill acknowledges the reality that disasters and emergencies can be quite disruptive, and it provides a pragmatic solution to address these disruptions without undermining the democratic process. The amendment ensures that our electoral processes remain robust and adaptable, capable of withstanding and responding to crises without compromising the democratic rights of our citizens.
Senator Morris Dixon emphasizes that the overall legislation governs the conduct of elections and maintenance of electoral integrity within the country.
This act outlines the procedures for voter registration, the roles and responsibilities of electoral officials, and the processes for nominating candidates and conducting polls. ROPA ensures that elections are free, fair, and transparent, providing mechanisms for addressing electoral disputes and safeguarding the democratic rights of citizens.
All government senators present voted in favor of the amendment. Opposition members were absent during the passage of the legislation as they had walked out of the sitting earlier. And finally, the National Task Force Against Trafficking in Persons, NATFATIP, says activities this week will focus on children. The task force, which is within the Ministry of National Security, is building awareness and observation of Trafficking in Persons Week from July 28 to August 3. It's reported that the National Children's Registry receives an average of 25 to 30 anonymous calls per year, which are referred to the Anti-Trafficking in Persons Unit within the JCF, and they are investigated. So head of the unit, Detective Inspector Kemisha Gordon, says for the past 5 years, children in Jamaica have been identified as primary targets.
For example, last year, about 70% or more of the victims identified were children, and the previous years 100%. We have had that. Mind you, the figures of the victims that we identify have not been too significant, but as Ms. Bodai says, even one victim is cause for concern.
Detective Inspector Gordon was speaking at a JIS think tank recently. It was noted in the conversation that Jamaica has been identified as a recruitment source for victims, a transit point in the trafficking from one country to another, and a destination point for the exploitation of victims.
What we have seen, in particular last year, about 10 Jamaicans, females, were identified as victims in other countries within the region. That is a cause for concern. It is the most that we have seen in a long time.
Detective Inspector Gordon is appealing to persons who think they are a victim or know someone who is to call the police in their area. Persons can also send an email to tip.ocid@jcf.gov.jm or speak to child counselors at the Child Protection and Family Services Agency, CPFSA. And that's it for JIS News Today. I'm Lisa Rowe. Thanks for watching.